G'day legends, and we just wrapped up UFC 319, and I gotta say, I had a great time watching the card. The card was so much fun, but I think it was mainly due to you guys joining me on the card and helping amp it up so much. It was a damn good time. I will say though, that main event did get a little bit bloody slow, even for me. I know a lot of you guys out there staying up late at night, man. If I had been up till 4 o'clock in the morning, I would have been rage baiting about the main event. You know, if I was out with the boys at the pub, I would have been rage baiting about the main event. But, you know, I'm lucky as an Australian. It's the middle of the afternoon. And watching what happened in that main event was absolutely insane to me. It was insane to me. I literally gave Khamzat Chimaev like 3 10-8 rounds in that. He beat the piss out of Dricus du Plessis. I will say, if he does that again to another opponent, like just straight away takes them down, puts them in crucifix, starts just tapping the side of their head ever so gently, I don't think I'm going to find it as entertaining as I do the next time round. It's certainly a fight that I'm never ever going to watch back again in my life. And if they do that, the guys at Paramount might be calling Dana White and being like, yo, what is the cooldown period on that $1.1 billion a year? Because this is boring. It is boring. Like, in the moment, you're in there. You're watching Dricus du Plessis, someone who is so big and strong and girthy, getting just absolutely dominated by Khamzat Chimaev. And for 15 minutes, I can appreciate it. You know, at the highest of levels. If this was at the UFC Apex and these were two no-name guys, my ability to enjoy what I was seeing from Khamzat Chimaev would have been destroyed within the first 3 minutes. Yeah, but because it's Chimaev, because it's Dricus, this is carrying me through the round. But I do have to say, Chimaev, we're going to need some finishing ability, brother. You know, like, even Merab has learnt how to get the choke going. Like, we've now got Merab, we've got Chimaev. These are problems for us in the UFC. You know, I don't throw Ank in there as well because Ank is primarily a boxer, you know, and I don't throw Islam Makhachev in there because Islam Makhachev primarily stands and strikes. But with Chimaev, are we going to sink the entire Khamzat Chimaev experience because of one fight? You know, before this, he had an incredibly exciting fight with Gilbert Burns. He had an incredibly exciting performance over Kevin Holland. He had an incredibly exciting performance over Robert Whittaker. He had incredibly exciting performances all the way of Khamzat Chimaev's career. Are we really going to sink the entire Khamzat Chimaev experience because of this fight? I know the majority of you will. Yeah, I know the majority of you will. That's MMA fandom. You know what I mean? Mario Batista had a great fight against Ricky Simon. He has a bad fight against Jose Aldo. And all of a sudden, Mario Batista is the worst fighter in the UFC. This is just MMA fandom. So Chimaev is going to have to cop this for a little bit. But if he does it again in the next one, good God. And also, we got to point out, it takes two to tango. You know what I mean? Like, one of the most fascinating things that turned the Leon Edwards fight, Belal Muhammad fight, into a war was how scrambly Leon Edwards managed to be and get back up onto his feet. What turned Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier into a war was just how scrambly and how much good work Dustin Poirier had done with Gamrot to get back up onto his feet and make these exciting fights. Same thing with JDM against Belal Muhammad. But Dricus du Plessis, it takes two people to create a dance and to create a fun fight. And Dricus didn't know how to dance at all in this. This was... I know he's a championship level fighter. I know I'm going to get one of those comments like, well, how could you say that about a high level athlete? You're just some dude sitting in a chair. I know, I get it, I know. Listen, just fuck off and click on another video, okay? What Dricus was doing in there, usually Dricus looks like an absolute spaz, and somehow it just works out for him. You know what I mean? That's the old Dricus du Plessis by flying piano. Whoop, 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 you know? He's just going to find a way. This did not happen this time. This time, the spaz that was Dricus, it went bad every single time. The look of sheer panic on Dricus's face from the first takedown, I called it the first takedown, there was a look of panic on Dricus's face when he truly realized just how fucking heavy the top pressure from Khamzat was. That remained there through every single one of the... let's call them exchanges, but they weren't really exchanges, were they? Just moments that happened at the start of every single round. And there is this look of grit and determination on Dricus's face. And what he is doing to get out of the grappling and to get out of the crucifix, or to not get himself into the crucifix, is to essentially just try and bench press Khamzat Chimaev off him. That's it. Even when we're in round 2 and Khamzat Chimaev is just backpack riding and surfing with Dricus du Plessis. Dricus du Plessis' technique for getting his hips out is just to post with his hands and then to sort of squat himself out of the position. Unlike something that, like, you know, I don't know, earlier in the card MVP was doing, or again, people like JDM and Dustin Poirier are doing, where they're getting, you know, hip position, they're fighting one hand, they're getting their base out from underneath from underneath the person on top of them. And maybe it's a mix of Dricus not knowing what to do and Khamzat just being so good, but what Dricus was giving us in that fight that was required to get out of the bad positions that Khamzat was putting him in just weren't there. And you could tell that, you know, what Dricus had trained, which was don't give up or else I'm going to fucking taser you, which is how his coach trains Dricus. That was there throughout the entire fight, because there are moments in the second round where I'm sure Khamzat Chimaev is going to get off the choke, and Dricus just keeps fighting him off like a fucking chat. You know, the heart of Dricus du Plessis to keep fighting all the way into the 4th round was really impressive. I do have to say, I don't speak South Afrikaans or Afrikaans, obviously, but the body language that I was seeing from Dricus at the end of the 4th when he was on his couch felt like he knew it was just, it's over. It's over. I'm not going to get the win. And the 5th round continued on that way until Mark Goddard gave Dricus his only chance to win. The best thing that we saw from Dricus over this 25-minute ordeal that Chimaev gave us was actually given to us by Mark Goddard. Like, Dricus didn't earn his way back up onto the feet. Mark just heard the booing. Knew Dana White was sitting there like this. Come on, man. Come on, we just said we're going to be a fucking paramount, Mark. Do something, Mark. So Mark Goddard felt the pressure and stood them back up. And that's when Dricus had his big moment. And even when they were having those striking exchanges, that Dricus was getting the better of. He was. I felt like at any moment Khamzat could have thrown the takedown and gotten it. I feel like Khamzat was placating Dricus during those stand-up exchanges just to feel it and get loose and get limber in there. It really did feel that way. That might sound like a bit of a cope. I know there's some people out there that go, you know, Magomed Ankalaev wasn't even trying to get the takedowns on Alex Pereira. He was. But this is one of those moments at the end of the fight where I was like, Khamzat is just sort of allowing the stand-up to happen, and then Dricus started having success, and then Khamzat, you know, shoots the takedown, and Dricus manages to scramble his way, and then there's that moment where I'm screaming like, oh my god, this is it, the last 30 seconds on the clock. Is Dricus going to get the choke? And he didn't. And the question that comes to my mind as an MMA fan is just how fucking good is Anderson Silva? There's so many people that were saying if Dricus gets this one done, he's above Anderson Silva. And I'm lucky that my chat has got so many unks in it, and we've really sat down and we've rewatched all of Anderson Silva's career, so it's still deep into our, like, the forefront of our minds that we remember just how good Anderson Silva was. You know, even in an era where the fighters weren't as good as they are now. Man, shut the fuck up, alright? Asakura just got destroyed. Urseg is Pantoja's best. Like, we'll get to that. Anyway, the point is, right? Like, Urseg was still a cab driver when he won a belt. Just calm the fuck down with the skill level between the fighters these days, alright? The point is, there was a moment in Anderson's career just like this, where he was getting destroyed by Chael Sonnen every single round, all in the grappling, and Anderson had a moment to latch up the submission, and Dricus had a moment to latch up the submission. And if what makes Michael Jordan one of the best basketball players all time is those clutch moments, this was Dricus's clutch moment. And we got what we got. We got Chimaev. Now, what does this say for the entire division? You know what I mean? Good God, what does this say for the middleweight division? Well, RDR and Fluffy, I see, are the only two people that are going to give Khamzat Chimaev a modicum of a threat. I don't see Imavov doing it. I don't see Baralho doing it. And even so, RDR, he's going to war with bloody GM3, mate. You know what I mean? Even his fight against Robert Whittaker is a close fight. I think Chimaev destroys him. Fluffy's a good... I love Fluffy. I'm a Fluffy believer. I'm a Fluffy enjoyer. But Fluffy, I mean, he says himself, I just rug up, smoke some weed, and whatever happens, happens. Fluffy's standing there smiling at Roman Dolidze while Dolidze is just... Fluffy's just some dude that smokes weed that's real good. He is really good, but again, man, that level of modern-day competition, just can't fathom it. Chimaev is the king until Chimaev gets old. This is the world that we live in now. Chimaev is the king until Chimaev gets old. And I've also got to say to all the people that are like, oh my god, are we going to see this every single fight? I know! It's 3 a.m. in the morning. You're bored out of your fucking mind. Chimaev is in crucifix again, tapping the back of Dricus's ear. No damage is being done. I get why you're all so angry and frustrated. But Chimaev has blitzed through everyone else before that. The fun Gilbert Burns fight was a war. And the only reason that we got into the 5th round is because Dricus has got the heart of a fucking warrior. Anyone else would have folded under that pressure that Chimaev gave us, well earlier than that. So I don't think you're going to see Imavov survive for 5 rounds. I don't think you're going to see Caio Borrello survive for 5 rounds. Nor RDR, nor Fluffy. I think Chimaev is going to fold these guys. Because I don't think any of these guys have got the heart that Dricus has got. The counter argument to that is, then why didn't Chimaev just finish him? Good point. I think it's because that rear naked choke is Khamzat's favorite finish, and Dricus was fending that off so fucking well. When anyone else would have just, the old Chael Sonnen, you never really got a choke, you just tapped because you wanted the fight to be over. That's Chael Sonnen's old saying. Also, as for the activity as well with Khamzat Chimaev, as long as he's active, then let's just get this over with as quickly as possible. I mean, he's going to be here for a long goddamn time. Khamzat Chimaev is not an old man like Bilal Muhammad was. So we're going to have Chimaev for a while. So let's just keep him as active as possible. He says that he wants to fight on the Abu Dhabi card. We'll see if he actually does want to fight. And I'm talking about the Abu Dhabi card in October, like the one that's coming up. We'll see if he actually wants to take that fight. Ruffy or RDR, whoever's the least injured one, just give it to... I mean, this is what happens when you have a champion like this that just churns through the division. If he wants to do it, let him do it. Let him do it. All right, let's move on to the co-main event. By the way, I picked Dricus du Plessis to my picks this card. This is good. Either way, let's move on to the co-main event. Laurent Murphy, bruh. He sounds like Leon Edwards, bruh. Laurent Murphy, but he doesn't sound like Leon Edwards, but I don't care. Laurent Murphy versus Aaron Pico. Once again, the UFC wins, and all you fucking MMA hipsters out there, bro, what do you mean you don't watch every single Rise and Fight card, bro? What do you mean you're not watching LFA 24/7, bro? Bro, you don't know Aaron Pico, bro? Oh my god, bro, Aaron Pico is the future, bro. I fucking hate these guys. Yeah, I mean, he had a decent first round, but it wasn't like he was doing a lot of damage. Wasn't even doing a Khamzat Chimaev level of damage on Laurent Murphy, which wasn't a lot of damage at all. But, it was just a lot of stand with Laurent Murphy, take him down. Laurent Murphy gets himself back up onto the feet from this dominant wrestler that is Aaron Pico. Just so bloody dominant, mate. He could out-wrestle Alexander Volkanovski. Laurent Murphy is standing back up. And then Laurent Murphy spinning elbows the consciousness out of Pico. Like, fucking brutally. And once again, we have like mere seconds left on the clock. Well, not so much as the last one. But still, towards the end of the round, a brutal chinning of Aaron Pico. Does Aaron Pico have the wrestling chops? Yes. Has he got much better hands than, say, Patchy Mix did? By the looks of it, yes. But apparently, I don't watch all of I don't watch Bellator. I have watched Bellator, bits of it, but not like a Bellator fucking hardcore, because I don't care. Alright, it's not that, it was never that good, I'd watch the Bellator main events, and that was it. Apparently, what was I trying to say? I was trying to say that Pico has been slept like this many times now. I think this is his 4th or 5th chinning. He's got a glass chin. And yes, this shot would have knocked out a fucking horse. But still, we've now got a chinny Pico. Chuck him in the division. It is what it is. This is what I'm saying, right? He's chinny. He's not up to UFC level. If you're a champ in other organizations, you're about 10-7 in the UFC at fucking best. At fucking best, yeah? It just is what it is. The UFC is where it's at. Let's move on. To Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. I thought Jeff Neal started off the fight very well. I liked what he was doing with the low kicks. I liked what he was doing with the activity. But Carlos Prates, to me, started to work his way back into the fight and end up, in my scorecards, winning the second half of round 1. If this fight had gone to the scorecards, I would have given Carlos Prates round 1, just how he worked his way back into the fight. But it didn't! And we all know why, because we had the first of the 2 back-to-back devastating spinning elbows. Prates is back, fucking styled on him, and I went back and quickly listened to it. There is a moment about 10 seconds before the first step-in elbow that lands, and then it's the spinning back elbow that lands. You can hear Carlos Prates' corner go, finish! They literally yell at it, Finish! And then Carlos Prates goes, yes, sir. Stepping elbow, bang. Spinning elbow back. Fucking amazing. Not a fluke. Insane, insane, insane. For Jeff Neal. Oh, my God. I mean, Jeff Neal, you know what I mean? What do you do now? You take a good amount of time off. You take a very good amount of time off, which is probably going to put him around 35 when he comes back to welterweight. And then you are the new Neil Magny, the Neil Magny that never dies. You are the gatekeeper. You're the one that all of the new up-and-comers have to come and go through. But that is where you are at now. Welcome to 6 months to 8 months off because of a brutal chinning and then a world of being a gatekeeper. I picked Carlos Prates. I picked Leroy Murphy. I picked Dricus du Plessis. Oh, can I spin back around to this real quick? Khamzat Chimaev's gas tank. Has it improved? Without a doubt, yes. I should edit this and put this back in the top section, but I'm not going to. Khamzat Chimaev's gas tank. Has he improved? Yes, he has. Pacing himself, his gas tank, he has improved. I've got to say, though, yes, he went full 25 minutes, but it wasn't like he was pushed by Dricus during that 25 minutes. Like, it wasn't really the normal flow of a back-and-forth fight, because it was just a lot of carrying the position. Even when Dricus was trying to get back up, it was a lot of either sitting in half guard or in crucifix, or just riding the back, which was very comfortable. Like, he was oftentimes riding the back of Dricus, where Khamzat Chimaev had one knee down on the mat, sometimes two knees down on the mat. So he wasn't exactly exerting a lot of energy to say, like, we've really seen his cardio issues be completely solved. But I mean, he clearly worked on it because he got through all 25 minutes and he even ended up getting the last takedown on Dricus right at the end of the fight. So, I mean, it's improved. Yeah, it's improved. But that doesn't negate everything that we said going into this about him having breathing problems as a child and growing up and it being something of concern. But it does look like he's fixed it up. Let's move on to Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. If Jared Cannonier had just turned it on a little bit in that last round, could have been a draw for Jared Cannonier. But MVP, man, he's actually got power at middleweight. Like, his power is carrying. And also, with how good, like, MVP was shucking off the takedown attempts or the grappling attempts of Jared Cannonier in the first and the second round, how good is Ian Gary, man? I hate to say it. Like, this has been such a win for my biggest enemy on MMA YouTube today. But how good is Ian Gary? Like, Ian Gary handled Michael Venom Page on the ground and handled Carlos Prates, not on the ground, but on the feet. And both of them stood up and showed out. I think MVP should stay at middleweight, like, just for a little bit, because MVP is one of those guys where he's sort of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. Like, at welterweight, I think he's just a little bit of a step behind to deal with Sean Brady. You know, I think he is a step behind to deal with Sean Brady. Sean Brady absolutely fucking ragdolls him. And at middleweight, obviously, Khamzat Chimaev absolutely ragdolls him as well. But you know what is so good for MVP? Being able to bounce between the two divisions where there are stylistical wins for them. Like MVP versus Leon Edwards back down at welterweight. That's a very winnable fight for MVP. MVP versus Shavkat Rakhmonov down at welterweight. That's a very winnable fight for MVP. Middleweight, I don't mind MVP versus, say, a Robert Whittaker. I don't mind him against a Robert Whittaker at all. I don't mind him against a Paulo Costa, a Marvin Vettori, like a Sean Strickland. These are very winnable fights for MVP. So MVP could actually have a little bit of a genius move here. Well, like, yeah, he might not get through Sean Brady, and he absolutely would not get anywhere near Khamzat Chimaev. Like, Chimaev would absolutely maul him in the opening minutes of any fight. But there are winnable matchups in the top 10 of each division, and if he can just stay busy and pick and choose and cherry pick his fights, why not, brother? Like, get your money, man. Let's talk about Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Tim Elliott came out looking like he was on meth, fought like he was on meth, got the fucking guillotine on Kai Asakura, and then did his post-fight interview still bouncing around like he was on meth. Meth is the best base for MMA. Just ask Trevor Peake, brother. Right, Kai Asakura losing. Pantoja's legacy in his championship run is fucking cooked, man. And I really like Pantoja, and for so long in this channel, I've been saying Pantoja gets disrespected in the pound for pound, and he does. But Usyk went on a fucking three-fight losing streak and nearly lost to Ode Osborne in the first round. And Kai Asakura just got done in by Tim Elliott in 2025. And Kai was looking so good, dude. He looked so good until he didn't, but that's MMA. And now this is Pantoja's legacy. Kai Kara France, Kai Asakura, and Steve Usyk. Oh, that's not a good You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. But well done, Tim Elliott, dude. He has just decided, like, I'm going full Clay Guida mode. I'm going full Mike Perry. And I'm just going to be that guy in the rankings. That's going to be that tough matchup for people. You absolutely love to see it. I picked Asakura to win that fight. Bagnisa Sukurov versus Eric Bloody Nolan, mate. My boy, Eric Nolan. Eric Nolan should have won this fight. I picked Eric Nolan to win this fight. It was the right pick to make. I would have gotten this one right. Eric Nolan absolutely fraud checked Sukurov in the first round. Was all over him. Sukurov just takes it way too easy, way too relaxed. His grappling is zero. Eric Nolan is just getting back up onto his feet. And the big Christ, his king cross on his chest, is fucking piecing up Sukurov. No problem. First round is Eric Nolan's, and I am feeling glorious about my big pick for Eric Nolan, mate. Then we are devastated by a fluke knee injury. A fluke knee injury that affects Eric Nolan for the rest of the second round, where he can't grapple properly because he can't post and start to build his base again because he's clearly suffered a horrible MCL ACL injury, and he is forced to tap in the second minute of the second round. But I still think I had that pick technically correct because Eric Nolan did piece up Sukurov like I said that he would. So even though I got it wrong on paper, I got it right in my heart, which is what matters. Gerald Meerschaert versus Mikhail Elliott. This is the worst looking Gerald Meerschaert I've ever seen. He was so ready to just throw himself onto the ground as soon as possible when that Polish monster, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, was hitting him with bombs. And you don't usually see GM3 wilt so quickly. Usually GM3 will stay in the fight and then draw you down onto the ground to lull you into a fake performance. What? To lull you into his trap. A fake performance? What am I even saying anymore? But Mikhail Oleksiejczuk was just like, I'm not falling for your tricks, GM3. I watched Dougie's War Room. I know what you're going to do. And Mikhail just kept inviting him back up onto the feet, inviting him back up to the border of the range of Poland, and then just dropping those Polish bombs on the NATO invader of Gerald Meerschaert. And eventually he put him away and did the big stand over him with the Khalil Roundtree. And I believe it was, Herb Dean that was reffing. It must have been Herb Dean because Herb Dean was like, kill him. And just allowed Mikhail Oleksiejczuk to beat on our boy GM3. Great fight. Really enjoyed watching it. I mean, the card was great. I had such a good time watching the card. The fights were great, man. We had Lupi Godinez against Jessica Andrade. I picked Lupi Godinez to win. Check it out, chat. It's actually in my Tapology. Don't know what happened. Don't know how that ended up in there, but it's on my Tapology somehow. Must have been at some point during the live stream. I went, fuck it. I'm just going to go with Lupi. Actually, I'm remembering now. I said I need the Lupi win because I know that this fight is going to be a bloodbath, and I feel really confident about Lupi, so I'm going to put it in my Tapology to help with my ratings. Haha. You got to you hear that? That's all brain. That is the density of brain, because I was playing 4D chess against myself. I knew that I was making risky picks, so I thought I'll just pack my picks with some great ones like old Lupi Godinez. That's enough to break down that fight. Honest to God, who cares? But it was enjoyable. Chase Super versus Alex Hernandez. I got this one wrong. There's no two ways about it. I got this one wrong. Edson Barbosa versus Dirk Close. I was robbed. Another pick that I should have gotten right. Mate, I should have done, I tell you, the numbers that I should have pulled on this bloodbath of a card, I should have gotten this one right. That second round was very close, wasn't it? That second round was very close. Could have gone to Edson Barbosa. Drakkar Klose clearly won the first round. He looked really good, and he was, doing the game plan on Barbosa. I thought Barbosa moving back up to 55 might have been able to carry a little bit of lighter man skill, but the age is showing on Barbosa, where even if he is moving up to a division that is notoriously underperforming against featherweights, it's just that the age can only compensate for so much. What am I saying? What do I mean by this? I mean, when you see featherweights move into lightweight, they generally do pretty well at lightweight until they grow into it, and then they drop down to that lightweight level of skill. Like, lightweights are just sort of brawlers compared to featherweights. So I'm like, right, Edson got it. They're both old, so Drakkar Klose is not exactly a young man styling on Edson. Edson's going to move up. He's used to the speed of flyweight. Featherweight didn't turn out that way. Until the second round, when Close started to gas out a little bit, and I thought Edson could have won it, therefore giving me the win. But Edson clearly won the third round. It was fucking awesome. It was a good scrap. It was a great fight to watch. Yeah, really nice. So Close ends up getting the decision at the end. Karini Silva versus Jaime Barboza. Who cares? Idris versus Joseph Morales. What was Idris doing in there? Like, what was that? He was bad everywhere. Wasn't he bad everywhere? Morales just styled on him, which was surprising to me because I didn't think Morales had won his last fight on Tough. I actually watched Tough this season. So I thought, and the way Idris was doing so well, running through the competition, I technically got this one right because I think Idris must have had a bad weight cut. Like, Idris on paper is the more skilled fighter, technically. So he must have just had a bad weight cut, which is the only thing I can explain. So how did I go on picks? I got Idris versus Joseph Morales wrong, but I technically got it right. So I should have gone 1-0. Barboza versus Drakkar Close. I picked Barboza and Drakkar Close, so I got it wrong. But Barboza was robbed by the judges, so I technically went 2-0. Chase Uber versus Alex Hernandez. I got that one wrong, so I went 2-1. I called Lupi Godinez, so I actually went 3-1. I called Michael and Jacek on paper and got it in reality as well, so I went 4-1. Sukurov versus Eric Nolan. Again, Eric Nolan won the first round. It was a freak injury, so technically I went 5-1, so really well. Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. The choke wasn't. All right, I went 5-2. Fair enough. Whatever. You know, that's going to happen on the big cards. That happens. Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page, 6-2. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates, 7-2. Leroy Murphy, Aaron Pico, 8-2. And then Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. I think you can make a real argument that Khamzat Chimaev should have been suspended for timidity. Because what was he really doing? He was just holding Dricus down. It was just timidity, really. Like that, if any other competent, if any real UFC referee was in there, say Jason Herzog instead of Mark Goddard, that would have been point deductions for timidity. And, Dricus would have ended up getting the win. There would have been a point deduction in the first, second, and third for timidity, giving Dricus each round. And then Dricus won the fifth round. So I think technically I would have gotten this pick. I think... Even though in reality, I ended up going 5-6. I think really you could say that I went 8-2. In reality, I went 8-2 with the timidity points that should have been taken away. Yes, good stuff. Anyway, that's it. How long did that go for? About 25 minutes. It was a great card. Thank you guys so much for joining me on that card. I had a great time watching it. What do I give it out of 10? Good question to ask myself right at the end. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. Khamzat really stunk up the end. But the pacing was good. And there were so many upsets. And so many viral moments. Maybe even an 8 out of 10. 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Except for Chimaev at the end. Really fun card. Really enjoyable. If this is your first time here, g'day, welcome. My name is Dougie. This might be your first time here. I've picked up a couple of new subscribers recently, so welcome. I make an MMA video every single day of the week, and I go live like all the time. You want to know when I go live, and you want to know when a new video drops, hit the subscription button and the notification bell to know when that happens. Let me know down there in the comments, how did you do? Because I technically got 8-2, so how are your picks on the card? Let me know about it down there in the comments. And if you're one of the bloody legends of the channel, your names are up on the next slide, as well as last week's pick ratios, although maybe we won't put last week. Maybe we won't put the pick ratios in because they're going to change. So on tonight's live stream, we're going to go through everyone on the channel's Tapology picks and see who is the top 10, so I won't bother with that slide. And also Team Alex Pereira versus Team Chimaev, the boys in the live chat. As a thank you, your names are all up on those slides because you guys are what make the channel what it is, so I appreciate all of you. Till then, you guys have yourselves a great day or a great night wherever you're watching from. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.